and in this video I am going to talk about the poem in detail. Let's get started. About the poet. Padma Sachdev, born in 1940, is an Indian poet and novelist. She is the first modern poet of the Dogri language. She also writes in Hindi. She has published several poetry collections, including Meri Kavita Mere Geet, roughly translated as My Poems, My Songs, which won the Sahitya Akademi Award in 1971. She has also received the Padma Shri, India's fourth highest civilian award in 2001, and the Kabir Saman for poetry for the year 2007 and 8, given by Government of Madhya Pradesh. Introduction. The students, the poem Car Driver, written by Padma Sachdev and translated into English by Dr. Karan Singh, describes a mother's love and concerns for her children and the love she has for her own life. It also depicts the carelessness of the car driver. Stanza-wise explanation. In the fearful silence of the forest, I hear the sound of paws of a careful bulbul out in the night shaking the feathers on his head to find food for its four little ones hungry in the nest. Explanation. The students in these lines, the poet imagines a forest gripped by fearful silence, where she happens to hear the sound of a careful bulbul's paws. The bulbul has left in the night to search for food for her four little ones that were hungry in the nest. As mother, the bulbul could not bear to see her little ones hungry. Therefore, she had left to get food for her little ones. Moving slowly, afraid, its ears pricked to pick some sound somewhere. With the grain in its beak, it hastens to the nest. Its twittering fledglings do not know the forest is in the throes of fear. They continue chirping. The bulbul trembles, moves with its head raised, alert all ears. Explanation. In these lines, the speaker of the poem describes the feelings, emotions, and concerns of the bulbul when she heard some horrifying sounds. She moves quickly towards her nest. Fear grips both her wings and legs. With a grain in her beak, head raised and ears alert, she flies fast to reach her nest with a hope to protect her twittering fledglings, who are continuously chirping as they do not know about the impending danger the bulbul has sensed. To students in these lines, the poet wants to communicate that despite so many hardships in her life, a mother is always concerned and worried about the well being of her children. Suddenly, there is a sound of wheels, the sound of dry leaves crackling, the sound rising and subsiding. The bulbul hides itself in the bush. It sees a bullock cart laden with goods, bullocks moving by themselves, heads down, the driver asleep, snoring, eyes covered with the end of his turban. Explanation. In these lines, the speaker of the poem describes the moving of the bullock cart in the silent forest and its wheels crushing the dry leaves, creating fearful sounds, rising and subsiding. Hearing the sounds, the bulbul hides herself in the bushes. She sees a bullock laden with goods. It's being driven by a careless driver who is sleeping and snoring. His eyes are covered with the end of his turban. What if the car stumbles? The car driver's hookah overturns? The forest catches fire? It imagines the forest on fire, wishes to run towards its nest to save its young ones, but cannot lift its legs out of fear. Explanation. The students in these lines, the speaker of the poem describes various premonitions the bulbul has after seeing the bullock cart being driven by a negligent driver. Like, What would happen if the cart stumbles, if the driver's hookah overturns, and the forest catches fire? The speaker then describes how the bulbul imagines the forest on fire and how she wishes to run and rush towards her nest to save her young ones. But she cannot lift her legs out of fear. She is concerned about her own life too. Themes. Students, the main theme of the poem, Car Driver, is love a mother has for her children. The poem clearly depicts how a bulbul, a mother, worries when she senses and sees something fearful happening in the forest. She wishes to run towards her nest to save her young ones. However, when she sees she can do nothing as the forest is on fire, she hides behind bushes to save her own self, forgetting everything else. Dear students, the poet also highlights the carelessness of the car driver, whose bullock cart is moving in the forest while he is asleep and snoring. First, his own life was in danger, and the second, the hookah could burn the entire forest and the creatures dwelling there. Highlighting the carelessness of the car driver, the poet wants to communicate that we must always drive carefully. We must not put our and others' lives in danger by being negligent. Images creating fear and silence. The students, images creating fear and silence in the poem are: number one, fearful silence of the forest. Number two, ears pricked to pick some sound somewhere. Number three, throes of fear. Number four, hookah overturns. Number five, forest on fire. Number six, cannot lift its legs. Assessment. Question number one. Who is the author of the poem Car Driver? Question number two. Name the translator of the poem Car Driver. Question number three. Why is the poem named Car Driver? Question number four. Have you ever feared anything either in the reality or in imagination? Question number five. Give the theme or themes of the poem Car Driver. Question number six. Do you agree that the poem is a tussle between the love mother has for her children and the love she has for her own self? Give a reasoned answer. Question number seven. What images create the atmosphere of fear and silence in the poem? Thank you for watching this